All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight on our fraud and scam session. I know the weather has changed since we've done one of these last month, but we are Minnesotans and we will definitely deal with it. So we will get started. There's a lot of information that we would like to cover this evening. A couple of just kind of housekeeping issues is if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat excuse me. I just added a little notice to everybody so that you can see it there. We will stop halfway through. I'll ask some questions. We'll go over the questions that have come in, and then I'll do the same thing towards the end. I am Nicole Peffer. I am the Community Outreach Manager with Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union. So again, thank you all for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. All right, I'm hoping everybody can see that. So, fraud prevention, of course, it's been a very hot topic lately. Everybody is kind of talking about it. What do we do about it? How do we stay on top of it? So, we're going to talk a lot about that today. We're going to cover how do you identify a scam? How do you protect yourself from a scam? What to do if you have been scammed? And how do you stay informed about scams? So luckily you have all joined this evening. So this is one step into being more informed on the fraud and scams that we are seeing out there today. All right. So chances are everybody attending this session has probably either experienced fraud or knows somebody who has experienced fraud. A recent report that came out stated that 1 out of 3 in the last year, 1 out of 3 of US adults have experienced or been a part of some sort of a fraud or scam situation. So that's quite a few of us. And when those things happen, we want you to have the resources on what you can do going forward. The Federal Trade Commission each year comes out with a report regarding fraud, what has been reported, how many reports, what kind of dollars that we're looking at. In 2023, 2.6 million fraud reports had come through. Now, keep in mind, everybody, that's just the reports. That's actually not obviously all scams, because not a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people do report scams and fraud, but not everybody does. So what we know that's being reported is about 2.6 million in 2023, and approximately $10 billion was reported lost. And this is up from 2022. Towards the bottom here, you can see 2022, we had 2.5 million fraud reports, equaling $9 billion lost. So definitely numbers have increased. And as we went from 2023 to 2024, while the amount of fraud reports had not increased, the amount reported lost has increased significantly. So we're just continuing to see increases in regards to fraud. The dollar amounts specifically are certainly going in the wrong direction. The Federal Trade Commission also does reports on what are the top frauds that are being reported. So the imposter scams. So those are going to be your romance scams, the scams that are maybe it's a grandchild that is trying to connect with you to get money for something, and it's actually not your grandchild. Online shopping, those are going to be the Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, those types of frauds that are going on out there. Businesses and job opportunities, that could be a secret shopper type of a situation where they want you to go into stores, you secret shop, and then you never get paid, and it's a scam. Investments and internet services kind of round up those top 5. Those have been the same top fraud reports that have been since 2022 and 2023. So what is being done, unfortunately, hasn't changed all that much. So hopefully, as we continue to talk about these things, our friends and our family will become more aware, and we can help them avoid fraud as well. 4 signs that it's a scam. So whether it's an imposter scam, the online, the prize, the lottery scams, all of those things, there's typically similar things that you can tell that these are scams. Almost all of them have at least one or more signs that we could be looking for. First one is going to be scammers. They're going to pretend to be from an organization that you know. That could be from Social Security Administration. That could be from your local banking institution. It could be from, oh, I suppose I could go here, the IRS. That could be another one. Medicare. There's a lot of different things. They could say that they're from your banking institution or the law enforcement. So they're going to try and sound very professional. They're very trained on these things, but they're going to try and get you to relax and be comfortable because it might be some institution that you're working with. They're going to probably do a phone call. They may send you a text as well. I'm sure all of us has probably experienced some sort of text, whether it was your car warranty. That was one that was going around quite a while ago. But those were coming through text messages. Could be through an email. Could be through a pop-up on your internet. So if you're working on your laptop and you get an email or a pop-up that comes up to say, you have malware, you need to call this phone number. 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, those are going to be fraud. Links on an internet or a text. It could be letters that you get in the mail. Those could definitely be fraudulent as well. QR codes are becoming very popular, and you want to use a QR code from a trusted banking institution or a trusted institution that you know is not, it's just not something that you found on the website or maybe something that came across your TV screen through an advertisement. So if your banking institution says this is our QR code, you're very safe with that. But if you're just getting a random QR code from someone sending it in the mail, you'd want to be very careful with that. Unfortunately, some fraud is from someone that you love and trust. It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a caregiver. We'll review some of these signs as well. And you want to beware of fraudsters cloning your loved one's voice with artificial intelligence. So as AI continues to develop and we can put our heads in the sand and we can say that won't ever affect me. AI is probably going to reach everybody at some point. And there have been already issues that through AI, they could record my voice right now and create an entire conversation using my voice, and it's actually not even me. So if somebody contacts you by phone claiming to be a family member or a friend, and the conversation just doesn't quite sound right, the way that they're maybe the inflection of their voice or something along those lines, what I have been recommending to a lot of folks is to have some sort of a safe word that you can use in your family. So if you get the grandparents scam call and it's your granddaughter, your grandson trying to get money because they're on spring break and ran into a legal issue, you could ask them what is the family code word. And if they don't know it, then I would probably say that's going to be scam. If they do know it, then you know for sure, yeah, that's my grandson or my granddaughter. Let's have a different conversation here. Or you hang up and you contact your child and say, where is my granddaughter? Where is my grandson? Is this actually going on? Scammers are going to say that there's a problem or a prize that you get. And so trouble with the government, whether you broke the law, you owe money. Your loved one has an emergency. Loved one is in legal trouble. We just talked about that. Your loved one has been kidnapped. There's a virus on your computer. You won the lottery or the sweepstakes. And I'm sure a lot of us on this call knew all about the Publishers Clearinghouse and how we all would have loved to have won that in the 80s. Unfortunately, there is still fraudulent things going on with Publishers Clearinghouse, and people still trust that it's a good company. But there has been a lot of scams still happening because of them. Scammers are going to do a lot of pressure to have you act immediately. They're not going to really, when they're on the phone with you, especially, they're not going to have that nice little pause in between sentences or conversation. They're just going to keep you on the phone and keep you not really giving you time to think, excuse me. And they're just going to try and have you act as quickly as possible. They're going to try and talk you into buying now before that offer disappears. So if you're doing those online shopping, maybe there's only so many left, or this is the last one. You want to take advantage of it. I've got somebody else looking at it and they're going to be coming today, or they're going to come tomorrow. I need you to make the decision today. That puts a lot of pressure on you to act quickly. Maybe if it's a government entity or the police, the local police department, they're going to tell you that you're going to be arrested if you don't pay this fee that is out there. You're going to be arrested. We're sending the cops to your house now, and that can be a little intimidating. They're going to sue you, take away your driver's license. Your computer has been corrupted. This is a big one. You have unlawful pictures on your computer. That can scare a lot of people because that is a hot topic right now. If it's a job scam, a lot of people have applied for this job. You want to act now. Maybe it's a situation where you have to pay them to hold the job position. And that could definitely be a scam type situation as well. Maybe it's somebody pretending to know who you are, because so maybe as a friend or a family member, and they're claiming to have health or legal problems or situations. They need you to send money as soon as possible. And paying those taxes or fees that you receive to get or to receive a prize. If you have won the Publishers Clearinghouse, they may need you to send, the taxes of $2,000 before they can release the funds to you. And unfortunately, what happens is you send the money, possibly through a wire service, and you never hear from them again. And then your money that you have sent, unfortunately, is gone. If you're on the phone, they're going to try and get you to stay on the phone. They're going to tell you exactly what store to go to. We've seen some situations where they will stay on the phone with you as well. They want to hear the conversation that you're having. If you are going to go buy gift cards, that was a scam that started several years ago, is still continuing. And what we're seeing now is that those fraudsters want to stay on the line with you. They want to make sure you're doing the transaction correctly. They want to hear the conversations that are going on in the background. Same if you're trying to do a wire transfer. They have been on the phone. They want you to just kind of set the phone in front of them or set it off to the side so that they can hear the conversation you're having with your banking institution. The urgency is going to escalate as time passes. So the more you possibly try to delay, the more they're going to put pressure on. Sometimes the fraudsters take time to establish a relationship and pressure slowly builds. And this is going to be more of those romance scams. And so they're going to take time to get to know you as much as they can. They might sneak a message through Facebook. They may claim to be an old acquaintance, maybe an old high school friend that you knew way back in the day. And they start off slow. They get to know you a little bit. They tell you what you want to hear. And then slowly the request for money happens. And then unfortunately, it just builds, the amount that they're requesting builds over time. Fraudsters, they're creative at creating urgency and their tactics evolve over time. They're highly trained in these situations. They practice these contacts and these phone calls all the time. So they're very, very good at what they do. They may ask you to pay in a specific way. So that could be through like, oops, excuse me. It might be through like a cryptocurrency. It could be through purchasing the gift cards. Maybe it's sending it, through those Venmo, Zelle, Cash Apps, PayPal. It could be purchasing gold or other precious metals. Cash is a recent one that we're seeing as well, where they are able to talk people into taking out cash, putting that cash in an envelope or a box, getting your address. Unfortunately, they're very good talkers. They are getting home addresses. You place that envelope or that box in your mailbox or on the front step, and they have somebody come and pick up the item. That has unfortunately happened very recently. What money wires through MoneyGram or Western Union or through your credit union or your banking institution. Sometimes they also may send a check to you. So it could be a cashier's check. Often they're going to construct a reason for you to send some of the money back. Some of the situations I have seen with that is selling items through Craigslist or Marketplace. Person wants to purchase it, but they don't live in the area. I will send you a cashier's check. Maybe the item you're selling is $500, and I'm going to have somebody, a transportation company, come and pick it up. I don't know exactly what their fee is, but I will send you a cashier's check for $1,000. That might be a little bit more. You pay, take that check to your bank, deposit it, you pay the transportation company when they come and pick it up. And then whatever the difference is over that, you send back to me. Unfortunately, what we're seeing is that the check is going to get returned. It gets returned back to your financial institution. We have to pull that money out of your banking account. And unfortunately, you are out not only the money that you sent to them, that you sent to the, or that you gave to the transportation company, but the whole check is no good. You have nothing, and your item is gone that you were trying to sell. So a little bit of a red flag if somebody is going to try and send you more than what you need. All right, so how to avoid a scam. Unwanted phone calls or texts and emails. Typically, this is how they're getting to us. If you're getting an unwanted phone call, you don't have to always answer the phone if you don't recognize the phone number. If your caller ID tells you that it's a potential scam, or I forget the exact wording that mine comes up with, but it's kind of clear that this may not be somebody that I know. The text messages that come through from just a random number, I don't recognize the number, but maybe they're having me want to click on a link or contact a phone number or send an email, or by golly, go here and you can send the money right to me. And then those emails that are coming through that have links. And so if you're not sure of that email, it doesn't look familiar, you're not expecting that email, and there's a link involved, question of whether or not you should be clicking on that link. If you're not sure, you don't recognize this email, delete it. If you're potentially thinking you're supposed to receive something and you're still not sure, feel free to ask somebody and say, I'm just not sure. I listened to this conversation about fraud and scams. It has my spidey senses up, and I'm not sure if this is a good email or a fraudulent email. You certainly can ask people, specifically your financial institutions. We can help give you some tips on what you can kind of look for, what you can hover on the email specifically. Maybe it's the email address that comes across of the person that's sending it to you. It may not quite equate to the company that you thought it was for. If you don't know the caller, don't answer the phone. If you have voicemail, most of the time when I get those phone calls, I let it go to voicemail because I don't recognize the phone number. And I figure if it's somebody that really needs to get a hold of me, maybe it's my doctor's office, my dentist, appointment or something like that, they'll leave a voicemail and I can then contact them from there. If you do happen to answer, hang up as quickly as possible when you find out it's not somebody that you want to be talking to. You're not going to hurt their feelings. It's okay to hang up on them, but you want to end the phone call as soon as possible. Any of those text messages that you get that come in, you can delete the text message. You can block that phone number. Not to say that another one isn't going to come through in the future from a different phone number, but at least you can delete those text messages from that one number. And then, of course, blocking them. You can also report emails as spam. So checking your email provider and seeing if one of the functions that they have is a scam function where if you're not sure, there's usually a button within your email that you can select it as a potential scam. There are some domains that do run the email through a potential fraud or scam type software that might be able to confirm if it's a scam or fraudulent email too. And again, don't click on those links. If you're not sure where that email is coming from, don't click on those links. That could put viruses on your computer. It could take you to a website that you don't want to be involved with. So be very, very careful with those. Don't give out your personal information, your social security number, banking account information, debit cards, etc. Most of the time with honest organizations, they're not going to ask you for those full numbers over the phone, especially if they initiated the phone call. So if the Social Security Administration is calling you and they're asking you to verify your full Social Security number, your banking account information, meaning your routing number, your account number, maybe your debit card information. If it was me, I would let them know that I'm in the middle of something, I'll need to call you back. I can't answer that question right here over the phone. If you think it is not legitimate, hang up and look for a statement or an invoice to verify the contact information. So if a phone number is coming through and it ends in 1234, you look up the bank statement or the billing statement, something along those lines, and your account actually ends in 4321, or I'm sorry, the phone number is 4321, then I would call the number on the statement. I would not call the number back that comes through my caller ID or through the voice message that maybe was left. You could also add your name to a do not call registry as well. It does try and filter as many of those calls as possible. I will be honest, I've had other folks tell me that they've put their name on that list and it doesn't catch all of them, but it could certainly reduce the number of phone calls that you're receiving. The other thing that we recommend is preparing some sort of a refusal script. If you happen to pick up the phone and you find out that this is not who you think it is, or you're not exactly sure, we in the upper Midwest are wonderful people and we like to be as polite as possible. And sometimes just hanging up on somebody does not feel good. So what could I do? I could actually come up with some sort of a script that will help me with talking to somebody's scammers. So maybe it could be, I don't believe I owe any money. I will double check and give the main office a call back as soon as possible. And you can hang up right after that. Maybe it's, this is something I need. This is not something I need or I'm interested in, but thank you for your time. And you hang up. Or this is another good one. My son or daughter can help me with that. Thank you for bringing it to my attention, and hang up. So it's a nice little leeway that we can kind of get out of things in a nice, respectful manner, the Minnesota nice that we are. All right, so some of the things that we can do, we can resist the pressure to act immediately. Again, it's going to feel like they need me to act right away. And gosh, I want to be nice and I just want to be able to take care of this for this person on the phone because I think I might know them. But we got to take a little step back and kind of think about what are they saying? What is this? Where's this conversation going? Threats and urgency are probable when it comes to a scam because they don't want to give you that time to think. So those scripts are another great way to just take a step back and think about what was that phone call just about? It was the Social Security Administration. Okay, I'm going to call the Social Security Administration on the phone number that I have off of my statement. And I can tell them exactly what that phone call was. I just received this phone call. This person wants me to verify all my information. Is that what you do? And they're going to probably tell you, no, that's not what we do. That was a scam. We are experiencing this. We know that they're out there, but that was a scam. Congratulations to you for not getting caught into it. Honest businesses and people will give you time to make those decisions. So again, if by chance you're working banking institutions, they scammers claim that they're from your banking institution and they want you to act fast. You got to get this taken care of immediately. Let's do it over the phone. And they're not giving you that time. Whereas if you come into your banking institution and tell them the situation and have that same conversation, they're going to let you take some time to think about it. we don't want to rush you into decisions that, maybe you're not comfortable with, or maybe you're just not fully understanding what it is. We, as honest institutions, want you to make the best decisions possible for you. Anyone pressuring you to pay or give out your personal information, probably a scammer. That should be a red flag at that point if they're asking for all this information over the phone. They're going to tell you not to tell anyone. If they tell you, excuse me, if they tell you not to tell anyone, it is probably a scam. If you're just not sure, hang up and do some homework, kind of like we just did. Maybe I called from a different phone number that the institution that I want to talk to, whether it's the local police department, my financial institution, Social Security Administration. I'm going to just put a pause on that original phone call. I'm going to end it, and then I'm going to do a little more research on my end, and I'm going to call and talk to somebody that I know is from that institution. How scammers are going to tell you to pay. Fraudsters are going to ask to be paid with these methods because they're tracking the money's final destination. Excuse me, because the tracking of the money of these final destination is difficult or very impossible. So if they're going to ask you to send via Venmo, or maybe it's a wire or a MoneyGram, the tracking of where it goes is very difficult sometimes to be able for your institution to even find. So that's why they're utilizing these methods. Same with the cryptocurrency. Cash, cryptocurrency, wire transfers, gift cards, gold, and other precious metals are just hard to track. If you receive a check and are asked to send that money back, or possibly wire it somewhere else, I would say red flags should be going off. Lots of times what happens, and we see this often in I shouldn't say most of our branches, but in some of our branches, where the cashier's check or the certified check comes in, it's for a certain dollar amount. The fraudster wants you to just deposit that money and use it if you're, again, sending the item through a courier service or something like that, and then just send them back whatever you don't use. That typically happens, and the cashier's checks unfortunately come back and they are no good. That money has to come out of your account. It could put your account into the negative situation and not in a good standing, and it puts you definitely in a hardship. All right, another scam fraud that we don't quite realize sometimes that is out there, but it's financial exploitation. And it's just the illegal or improper use of an individual's funds, property, or assets for another person's profit or advantage. This comes from the National Adult Protective Services Association. We also know that as NAPSA. And this could be potential friends or family that are involved in these types of scenarios. So some of the signs with financial exploitation: when someone you trust, again, family, friend, caregiver, pressures you into doing one of the following, it can be considered exploitation. Unwanted transactions on accounts. So maybe you're feeling a little forced or pressured to make purchases or using your accounts in ways that you're not comfortable with. Changing the users on your account. So maybe the account is just in your name or yours and a spouse, and we need this potential financial exploiter wants to have their name added to your account, maybe as a joint account. And then unfortunately, they have full access to your money. Maybe they're using your information and applying for loans or credit cards. Maybe they get you to sign a power of attorney, and so then they can start signing for loans and credit cards for you. Updating those legal documents. So that could be a power of attorney. Maybe it's a will. Maybe it's a trust. All of those things. How to prevent it. So being proactive, don't wait until decisions are made on your behalf. Designate someone that you do trust as your financial power of attorney, guardian, trustee, or representative payee. If there is no family members that you have that relationship with, there are institutions out there that are representative, they're payees, they can handle paying bills and so forth for you, then it comes out of your account. They should be fully transparent with you, so that when they're paying things, you can get a documented record of everything that's being paid. Um, and then that way it takes it out of putting it on families' hands. But then also staying in contact with your loved ones. Social isolation tends to be a big factor within financial exploitation. They're going to try and not have you connect with the brother or the sister or the family member that you've been very close to over the years. They may try and pull you back and keep you isolated from that relationship going forward. If you're starting to feel that, I would say you may want to connect with a trusted family member, um, or someone that you know very, very well. Maybe it's a very good friend, and have a conversation to say, what do you think about this? Even your banking institutions might be able to talk with you a little bit and kind of talk you through some of the situations that you're experiencing, and just kind of give you something to think about. And then ultimately you get to make the final decision. But again, knowledge is power, and having people and support on your side is very important. All right, so when you're working with your financial institution, we ask and we hope that you're going to be honest and transparent with us. So some of the questions that we might ask you when you're doing transactions is, why are you receiving this check? If a check is out of your normal spending or depositing patterns, we may ask about that. Maybe that check is a check that we recognize for not a good reason, and we want to kind of know what's your dealings with this institution, or this payee that is sending you this check. We are not trying to be invasive into your private information. We are trying to protect you as much as possible from frauds and scams. Your banking institutions see this all the time. We have consistent training on it. We have consistent conversations on it. And so hopefully we are able to spot most frauds and scams right now. Of course, there's always a new one, but we're trying to protect you. What is your relationship with the check writer? What do you plan on doing with a cash withdrawal? If you're taking out a large sum of money, um, don't think that, again, we're being evasive if we're asking you for what's your plans with it. There's very legitimate reasons that people take out large amounts of funds. Um, but I will say, on the flip side, if somebody is coaching you on what to say to your banking institution when you're taking out money, that's a big red flag. Nobody should be telling you why you're taking out the money. If you're experiencing that, please be honest with your banking institution. We will be able to help you, and so that this money that you're taking out or that you're wiring and so forth doesn't get lost and you are out that money. We're going to ask you for the reason for the money wire. What is your relationship with the receiver of this money wire? Have you met this person in person? Have you shaken their hands? Have you sat down for coffee with them? Oftentimes we see that a lot of these relationships, I guess you could say, and this is more towards the romance scams, but a lot of these relationships are over the internet. Maybe it's through Facebook that you met somebody, or you go through a different website and you're meeting these people and you've never met them in person, but they're asking you to send money. And this happens all the time. Sometimes we that haven't experienced this, we can say, "Oh my gosh, how did you get wrapped up into that?" And honestly, this isn't your fault. These fraudsters are very good at what they do. But again, trust your banking institution. We're trying to protect you from losing your money. We talked about that a little bit. If somebody's coaching you to what to say, that should be a big red flag. Now, for us, from the banking institution side, why are we asking this? It's because fraud is changing all the time. We are trying to stay as much as we possibly can in front of fraud. We don't ask these questions to invade on your privacy, to get into your business or anything like that. We're just trying to help you. We're trying to recognize the red flags and hopefully help you recognize those red flags as well. Again, we are trained to identify fraud so that we can prevent it from happening in the future. But if you're running into a situation where you either receive a check and it just shows up in the mail and you're not exactly sure what it's for, and you bring it in to deposit, and somebody doesn't ask you about it, maybe they're not asking you some of those questions, and you're just not sure, I would definitely initiate a conversation on it and just say, hey, can you tell me, I'm not feeling too good about this check. Can you help me understand, like, how, if this was fraud, what would happen? What could I do if this check is fraud? There's many things that you can do to try and prevent it. You could call the institution, the banking institution that the check is drawn on. So maybe it's from a large banking institution, and you call that banking institution, you give them the routing number, the account number, the check number. Maybe they can do a little research on it. Sometimes it'll come up right away where the routing number and account number is to a fraudulent closed account. And then you know right away that this check is no good. Um, and that kind of prevents any fees or things of that nature through your banking institution that you might have for a check that gets returned due to closed account, fraudulent account, insufficient funds, things of that nature. When we're looking and we're talking about money wires and the cryptocurrency, when people get involved in those, sometimes we see that when the money goes and it gets processed through these systems, the money is gone. And it's very unlikely that people get to see that money come back. And so, once again, I don't mean to preach this, but we are going to ask those questions because we're trying to prevent you from losing money. People have lost thousands and thousands of dollars. You can Google many different fraudulent situations where people are out money of hundreds of thousands of dollars because of wire scams. And so we're trying to protect you from that. Now, what do I do, Nicole, if by chance I was scammed? Where should I turn? Who can I go to? Well, contact all of your financial institutions. Let them know that there's been potential fraud either with one of your accounts or with your online banking. Um, they're going to kind of set some things in place or have you set some things in place to try and block transactions. Maybe it is closing the old accounts and opening new accounts, issuing new debit cards, things of that nature can all be done. They can help you update passwords and set up multi-factor authentication whenever possible. So that might be using your thumbprint or a facial scan. Those are just additional ways to help avoid fraud. Reviewing your accounts daily is another big one. If by chance, if you don't have online banking and have your mobile apps and so forth, you might want to consider adding it. I will say up until well, several years ago, but I was probably one that was late to the party on this myself. I wasn't all that comfortable using the online banking apps. But what I have found is that not only can I check my account balances and transactions immediately, I can also set up different alerts to notify me if by chance my debit card is being used or a transaction has come through my account. I can get notified of all of those. And maybe I set it for, if it's more than 50 cents or more than $1, I want to get alerted to that. And those actually can help you know, one, what is the transactions that are coming out of your account, but two, if it's fraudulent, you can get it fixed right away. Maybe one issue that has come up that I've seen recently is that go to a restaurant and we give the server our cards and we trust that they're going to process that correctly, but we're all human and sometimes numbers can get transposed when they run it through. So instead of my bill being $67.25, they may accidentally type in $76.25. Well, I might get the alert before the server even comes back to my table and I can have them fix that right away. So even just intentional things can certainly happen and we can catch them right away. If it is truly fraud, I can then contact my financial institution and start the fraud process. Sometimes it's right even through my banking app, or I can just stop in or give a call and I can start that process right away. You can contact the Social Security Administration if you gave out your Social Security number. So if by chance the scammers have gotten a lot of information from you, um, start contacting those entities, getting maybe your social security number blocked, so that somebody can't open up a new account in your name. You could contact all the credit bureaus, alerting Social Security Administration to any fraud on that side as well. Then monitoring that credit score for those unauthorized accounts. Most banking institutions, I will say for Mid-Minnesota, I can actually look at my credit report right through my online banking app. So I can get notified if there is a new account that's opened or somebody has tried to look at my credit reports. I can get an alert stating that. And so if that happens and that comes through, I can immediately start a fraud process if I'm not exactly sure how to start that. You can certainly come into your financial institution. In Minnesota, we help a lot of our members, start those processes. Even if it's not with their banking accounts, we can help you get fraud and so forth done with the credit bureaus. You can report the scam or the fraud at report fraud at the Federal Trade Commission, so ftc.gov. This is that few slides ago we saw those trending scores or those trending signs that show that fraud reports are going up and the amounts that are going up. This is where we can report that as well. When it comes to passwords, we want to be careful on our passwords. So we want to create safe passwords. Nobody's trying to overload you with passwords. I know that that's the way it feels. Trust me, I get it. But again, this is another way that we are moving into the digital era and we have to protect ourselves in some way. So maybe that's doing, I even say if you can go 10 to 15 characters, you're going to even protect yourself even more. But a minimum of 8 characters, you want to have some different complexities. So numbers, uppercase, lowercase, special characters. Maybe you do, or actually, I'll go to this first, avoid things that might be found on social media. So if you are posting that it's the granddaughter's birthday today and happy birthday, happy 10th birthday to little Susie, well, somebody might be able to figure out if your password is 11102025 or 11102015. I should probably put it that way. So sometimes they can figure those things out, and that's the first thing that they're going to do. So try and stay away from pet names and birth dates and family names and those important dates that are out there. Use themes or passphrases. So maybe you're a huge history buff and you create sayings that have characters and letters, but it means a certain history um, thought to you. And you can certainly create passphrases around that. You're going to want to use different passwords for everything. And usually when I state that, most people are rolling their eyes and they're saying, "Oh, not another password." I understand. Everybody feels this way. But again, as we are in the digital age, we have to try and combat fraud as much as possible. You don't want to use the same password for different sites that you go to. Um, Set up passwords to even just log into your computer. So if by chance somebody got a hold of your computer and there's no password just to sign into it, that could potentially expose you to some of those fraudulent situations where a family member is involved, that they would have access to your laptop or even your phone um, while you're taking a nap or whatever it happens to be. You don't have eyes on it. That kind of opens up exposure to some more fraud, financial exploitation. Using multi-factor authentication whenever possible. So again, that could be a face scan, it could be a thumbprint. Those are becoming more and more common. Those do help with fraud. I can tell you with the face scans, if I have my hair in a ponytail, sometimes it doesn't recognize it. Sometimes if I have to take off my glasses and it doesn't recognize me with my glasses on. And so it can get a little frustrating because I'm in a hurry, but at the same time, I take a step back and realize it's trying to make sure that nobody else is getting a hold of my phone or a hold of my laptop to pretend that they are me. Don't write down your passwords. I know that that's difficult. But again, if you have your password sitting on a sticky note on your desk and potentially having a friend, family member that could potentially financial exploit you, not only do they have your computer, but then they have all of your passwords, and that just gives them full access to everything. Also, don't let your computer remember passwords. Same exact thing. If your computer remembers it, somebody gets a hold of your computer, they go into these different sites that your banking institution website, and it just remembers it. They have full access to it. It's no different than writing down your password on a piece of paper. And then, of course, I think everybody knows this, but don't give out your passwords to anyone, even if it is a close family member or a friend. Um, you just you never know. Sometimes people are in situations that we're not aware of, and they could be having a financial hardship, and they might be embarrassed to say anything. And then they get your information, your passwords, and so forth. The temptation is certainly there that they could try and take money. Um, and again, you want to try and avoid that because then that puts you in a difficult situation. So keeping yourself informed, what can you do to keep yourself informed? Well, I will say this Zoom call is probably one of the many ways that you can do it. So again, I appreciate everybody for logging in tonight. But maybe your financial institution's website is a great area for fraud. I would probably say most institutions in Minnesota, we have our own fraud site for our members. Actually, it's for the public to go to, so it's on our website where we are logging a lot of information. There's a lot of additional tools and resources that you can access there. The newspapers, whether you get it still in print or you get it through online, lots of times news and newspapers are reporting a lot of these things. As I was talking with my mom recently, she said that down in the cities, it's constantly in the newspaper down there. This fraud or that fraud and what's going on. So the information's there. We just need to stay on top of it, of what's happening and what are the trends. AARP has a really nice biweekly fraud watch newsletter that you could sign up for. It gets automatically sent to you, whether it's probably through email to where you can get that. I don't know if they mail anything out, but chances are it's probably going to be a lot of electronic. But they have a lot of information out there. AARP has also a podcast. So if you are a podcaster, and you love those and you're traveling in the car, you want to just listen to them, they have the Perfect Scam podcast, which is, again, a lot of information within that. You could watch your credit score. If you do not have access to your credit report through your online banking, I would first ask your banking institution. It might be somewhere within your online banking that you normally don't click on or go to, and they could certainly guide you in that direction to look for where your credit report might be able to be seen. If that is not an option, you could also go to annualcreditreport.com and you could have your credit report pulled out there as well. It does cost $1, so you will have to enter a debit or a credit card information, and there's a small fee, but you can actually pull your credit. I know it says annual, and it used to be annual about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. That's the way it was. But because fraud is so rampant right now, they're allowing you to look at it once a week. So another option for you, you could also go to all three of the credit bureaus and get your credit report directly through them as well. So Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Um, keep the fraud, keep fraud in the conversation with your family and friends. November is International Fraud Awareness Month, so we are putting a little extra emphasis on it this month. Not that we give up on it every other month, but it's just kind of the theme for this month. But as we go into the holidays, as we go into Thanksgiving and Christmas, this probably isn't the topic that we want to bring up at the dinner table. For most of us, it's probably better than the politics out there. But this would be a great conversation to say, "Hey, I attended this session. Here's what I'm hearing out there," or my friend Susie has experienced this. Has anybody else seen this? Fraud is happening no matter the age group. So it could be your grandkids that have cell phones are experiencing fraud. Your friends and family that are maybe in, well, it doesn't matter. I guess any age group is being targeted for fraud. So opening these conversations with your family is important. Maybe there's things that you're learning today that they don't know about. And so it just brings another little awareness so that if they experience it, they can take that step back and take that time to assess whether or not there's some red flags out there and they don't act quickly. So other resources, we kind of talked about a few of these, but Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union, the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, AARP, Social Security Administration is also probably going to have a lot of information regarding fraud with your Social Security numbers. Minnesota Attorney General, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, so CFPB, the US government, National Adult Protective Services Association, NAPSA, and the National Do Not Call Registry are all resources that you can utilize going forward. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I am going to go back to our chat room here. So again, if you have a question, feel free to send into the chat. We will answer those. And I don't see any that have come through yet. So we'll give it another moment or two. I know we're not quite to 6:30, but we have some time still. All right. Well, on that note, I will give the rest of your evening back, everybody. Again, thank you for attending. We appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Mid-Minnesota. If there's not something, a question that I haven't answered tonight, or there's another scenario that you're experiencing, we want to be helpful and be a resource for you. So feel free to contact us. Have a great night, everybody.